Hi, how are you doing today? What if I told you that your mental health is not determined by how peaceful your life is, but by how you respond when everything around you becomes difficult? Some people break under pressure, while others become stronger. The difference is not luck. The difference is in their mental structure. Today, I'm going to show you the 6 core components that determine the state of your mental health at any time. And at the end of this video, we will have a you time, a moment where you answer a few reflective questions designed to encourage engagement, retention, and self-reflection. Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Series with Coach Ebube, a teacher, a mental health advocate, and a passionate optimist, because I believe that nothing can defeat you without your permission. So let's dive right into the video. Welcome back. Last time we discussed that mental health is the emotional, psychological, and social well-being of a person, which affects how a person thinks, feels, and acts. It also influences how you can handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Today, I want to add that mental health also means managing challenging situations effectively. It involves keeping your thoughts and emotions in check so they can continue achieving your goals while upholding your values. In other words, your ability to hold yourself together in the face of varying degrees of challenges without losing the core essence of who you are and still staying focused on your goal determines the state of your mental well-being. It's been said that the true measure of a person is not seen in comfort, but in how they respond to challenges and how they stand firm and remain grounded when life becomes difficult. That is, being able to keep going even when all the odds are stacked against you often results from a good mental health that has been strengthened over time. Mental health is not something you simply have. It's something you develop through constant practice. That is why we mentioned in our first episode that mental health exists in stages. It could be good, okay, and poor. This means maintaining good mental health requires conscious effort and self-awareness, especially in our today's world where many things constantly challenge your mental state. When you become aware of this, it will guide the kind of statements you make. For example, if you go low, I go lower. It means you've handed over the control of your actions to someone else's behavior. But if you remember, managing challenging situations effectively means keeping your thoughts and emotions in check while still achieving your goal and upholding your values. If we truly want the kind of society we desire, we all have a lot of unlearning to do, even in the small things we say or do in our everyday life. Now, before we continue, let us understand the 2 important keywords for today's discussion, which are core and components. To explain the word core, I would like to share a story from 2016 involving Samsung. The company recalled its Galaxy Note 7 smartphones because of a manufacturing defect that could cause the phone to overheat and catch fire, posing a serious safety risk. Some people might ask, why recall millions of devices and lose so much money because of one defect? The simple answer is, no matter how good something or someone appears, a crack, fault, or defect, especially in a core area, can affect the entire system. In the case of a phone, the problem was in the battery. But what is the use of a phone without a battery? Let us also consider a building. A small issue on the floor might be manageable, but if the foundation is faulty, the entire structure is at risk. This helps us to understand what core truly means. The core of a something is the central or most important part of a thing, while the components are smaller parts that put together to make up a whole. When we apply this to our mental health, those components function like pillars that support a steady and a healthy mind. Now, let us look at the core components of mental health. There could be more, but we're just going to be considering just the 6. One is cognitive component, which has to do with thinking and mental processing. Another one is behavioral component, which has to do with your action and habit. Psychological component that has to do with inner well-being and identity, which is your self-esteem. Another one is emotional component that has to do with your feeling and emotional regulations. Social components that has to do with relationship and social function, while the physical component has to do with the body and mind connection. As I said, there could be more, but we're just going to be considering these 6. But for today's video, we will begin with the cognitive component of mental health. When you hear the word cognitive, what comes to your mind? Cognitive simply means logic. It simply means thinking deep, mental processing, having a deep thought of something, not a shallow thought. Cognitive well-being is referred to as how we think, reason, learn, remember, and make decisions. It includes abilities such as attention, memory, problem solving, perceptions, and judgment. Simply put, we can call it the ability to think beyond limitation. That is thinking out of the box. Recently I watched a comedy skit where a content creator was literally sitting inside a bus. She was looking confused. The caption read, "Thinking out of the box." It was funny though. What it simply means by thinking out of the box is looking for possible solutions when you are faced with a challenge. It is your ability to figure out what to do when confronted with a difficult situation. Now let us look at some important elements of cognitive health. Number 1 is attention and concentration. Attention and concentration is your ability to focus on a task or a conversation without being easily distracted. It supports your emotional regulations because it helps you to stay present and fully engaged. Yes, I know you can multitask as an individual, but being present at one thing, channeling all the energy you distributed to several things and putting them in one can help you achieve greater results in one thing before moving to the other. It helps you to be present in a particular place without being scattered. Have you ever been physically present among people, but you are mentally absent? Suddenly they burst into laughter and you immediately assume they are laughing at you. Oftentimes, that assumption happens simply because you are not mentally present there. Actually, this is what meditation does. So, next element is memory. We have short-term or long-term memory. Short-term memory allows you to hold information briefly, such as remembering your phone number long enough to dial it, while by long-term memory stores knowledge and life experiences over time. Having a healthy memory is essential for learning, for problem solving, and for emotional awareness. For example, if a child should touch a hot stove today and get burned, the experience becomes a lesson. The next time that child sees a hot stove, he will avoid touching it. Being able to put your emotions in check, that is one of the elements of cognitive components. Being able to calm yourself down. I have we call them responsable. Let me just call her the managing director here. This lady has really taught me a lot of things. No matter how angry you are and you get to her, if you're talking to her, even if you are shouting, she will just be mute. She'll keep quiet. She'll just calling you tesoro, amore, that is my love, calm down, be calm. That is a very great leadership quality. Decision making. Decision making is your ability to choose between alternatives thoughtfully and in alignment with your personal values. It is said that if you truly understand your value, if you truly know your identity, if you truly know who you are, 90% of your decisions are already made beforehand. You will not easily be swayed by external pressure, by peer group, or by the bandwagon. You already know what to answer even before you arrive there. Now, logical reasoning. Logical reasoning helps you to prevent emotional outbursts. Just like I mentioned, being able to control your emotion by grounding responses in clear thinking. It helps you to slow down, analyze the fact, and respond appropriately. This ability often places you ahead in difficult situations. Now, another one is mental flexibility. I call it adaptive thinking. Mental flexibility is the ability to adjust your thinking, change strategies, and adapt to new information. You are open to learning, you are open to other options. As we normally say, as it was in the beginning, is now, and forever shall be. So you are not that kind of person. You are open to new plans. If plan A fails, you remain open to plan B. Flexibility builds resilience. It allows you to move forward instead of collapsing under pressure. Then you are not going to make a statement like we buy here, okay? Because you know that you're not going to buy anywhere except if you allow yourself buy there, okay? So be open to new options. Interestingly, this is the strength many Africans possess. Our environment often require us to adapt, innovate, and persevere, which builds mental resilience. To refuse to be stuck because stagnant waters stink. Now let us look at the signs of healthy cognitive function. Number one is the ability to focus and complete a task. Like I say, it is good to multitask, my fellow women. It is good to multitask, but sometimes doing everything halfway results to doing nothing at all. While at it, just ensure that you take up tasks as much as you can carry per time. Another sign of a healthy cognitive function is remembering important information. Like I said, your phone number or the phone number of someone that is very close to you. Another one is remembering at least your car plate number. This is actually a straight bullet, but as much as you can, try to remember. Okay, it is very necessary because I watched a documentary of a guy who said that one of the survival mechanisms, if you're abducted, is to remember at least your number and the number of someone that can be contacted on your behalf so they can be able to negotiate with the person. So if you're that kind of person that you don't even know your own number, you might say, that nothing like that will happen to me. Okay, you might not be kidnapped. What if you misplace your phone and there is a need to call, at least to know where it is? You don't know it. So it is essential for you to at least have two numbers on your head. Another one is thinking clearly and logically. Learning new skills. As we said, being able to always continue learning, or be open to new things. Do not close yourself up. Then making reasonable decisions. I want to say this. Avoid making important decisions when overwhelmed by strong emotions. Either you are sad or you are happy. Any of the extremes, avoid making important decisions because many poor decisions are made in moments of emotional intensity. Also have this in mind that whenever someone comes to you with a question, he or she must have rehearsed their thoughts beforehand. So you are not expected or mandated to give an immediate answer. It's not weakness to say, let me think about it and get back to you. Or can I go back home and have a rethink on this? In fact, that is wisdom. It is better to take a day to respond wisely than to give a quick response that leads to regret. Now let's look at the signs of cognitive difficulties. I want to say that except for extreme cases, we can always improve in any of these. That I mentioned, being able to know your telephone number does not mean that if you don't know it, that means you are mentally not stable. But what I'm trying to say is that there is a need for improvement in the areas you feel challenges. Okay, so now what are the signs of cognitive difficulties? Number one is poor concentration. Extreme cases, there's a need to seek medical advice. Like frequent forgetfulness, like extreme forgetfulness, like somebody forgetting their names, looking confused, there is a need to be checked. Okay, confused or disorganized thinking, when someone's talk is just going up and down, the person speaks incoherently, there is a need to see a therapist. Rigid or negative thinking pattern, when someone say, I go with A, whether A is good, whether A is not good, even when everybody around you is saying A is not good. Yes, I know that sometimes that everybody is not seeing what you're saying, but sometimes be open to learning, be open to trying out new things. You are not stuck with one option. You are not stuck in a place because something refused to work. Being able to renovate, being able to revolve and make necessary changes that will better your life. Now, how do we improve our cognitive health? Number one way we can improve our cognitive health is by engaging in mentally stimulating activities such as reading, try journaling, try puzzle games. Limit your screen times, whether as an adult, whether as a child, try to engage in reading. Next one is practice critical and reflective thinking. Try to think deep, avoid shallow thinking. Get adequate sleep. It is very essential. It is very important for you. And stay hydrated. Your brain is mostly water and you need to stay hydrated, especially before making important decisions. Reduce excessive multitasking. My fellow women, I know I've called us a lot of times. Reduce excessive multitasking. Function as much as your mental capacity. Practice mindfulness and meditation. I've already said that. Then maintain a healthy brain diet. Yes. Eat food like eggs, salmon, walnut, berries, greens, whole grains, avocado. Okay, that will help you. Try to prioritize eating healthy than satisfying cravings. It will help you a lot. Use planners or reminder apps. This will help to remind you of your next appointment. Break tasks into smaller, manageable steps. Do not overcrowd yourself. You can actually get bored looking at an overcrowded table. Our environment and experiences plays a significant role in shaping the brain. Research suggests that by the time a child reaches 5 years old, about 90% of their brain development has already occurred. This means the environment we expose children to matters greatly. Encourage the children to engage in activities that stimulate creativity, sparks curiosity, and helps them to explore. Experts also recommend limiting exposure to electronic devices for children aged 0 to 5, as excessive screen time may affect their attention span and cognitive development. Children should be encouraged to explore, they should be encouraged to play, they should be encouraged to imagine, they should be encouraged to interact with the real world, they should be encouraged to even feel sand, to melt things themselves, take them to the zoo, take them to parks, and that will help their cognitive development. Having said all of this, we've come to the end of this episode, and by the next episode we'll be looking at the other components of mental health. But before you go, now is you time, a time you're allowed to answer a few questions. Here are the questions. Take a moment to reflect on your answers, privately or in a journal. I'll also add a Google Form link in the description box. You can click and answer if you have any personal needs. And I'd also like you to share one thing you learned or connected with in the comments. I'll be delighted to read them. Let's make this a safe space to support each other. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this episode. Do well to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on all social media platforms because we have many more coming your way. Till I see you on my next one. Bye.